Hey, good morning, family. Nathan Ivey with you. Please take a second to like and share today's show. Good morning. Hope you're having an excellent Thursday morning so far. Listen, the day gets better. Good morning to all the early risers out there. On today's show, among other things, I want to talk about the latest on Ice Cube and give you my straight talk opinions about it. Plus, we'll talk about some local issues, some things that happen at the Board of Elections. And apparently people are outraged, but I'm outraged that they're outraged. I'll talk more about it specifically in just a couple of minutes. Hey, listen, if you haven't already done so, just want to let you know that if you want to get a notification every time we go live on Facebook, just enable it on Facebook so you can get notified whenever we go live here at Sin Digital Media. Of course, our mission is to amplify Black voices in the greater Cincinnati area and beyond. The Nathan Ivey Show gets started in about 90 seconds. Don't go anywhere, and please like and in particular share today's show.
Show is supported by listeners. Go to www.patreon.com/Nathan Ivey Show and help Nathan keep the show independent.
Democrats voting for Charlie Winburn. Democrat Malcolm Timmons.
I'm voting for Charlie Winburn because he's a man that does what he says he's going to do, and he gets things done for our community.
Democrat Nettie Matthews.
Of course I'm voting for my brother Charlie Winburn because he cares about the Black community.
Democrat Paul Booth.
I'm voting for my longtime friend Charlie Winburn. He will put people over party.
Democrat Zakiya Allen.
I'm voting for Charlie Winburn because he has a positive track record in our community.
Democrat Charles Wiley.
I am voting for Charlie Winburn because he will be accountable to us.
Democrat Klein Carricker.
I'm voting for Charlie Winburn because he helps to train hundreds of African Americans through his leadership masterclass.
Democrat Jafanya Wynn.
I'm voting for Charlie Winburn because he cares about women with children, providing child care and a school for K through 8th graders.
Democrat T. Renee.
I want to see the first African-American county treasurer elected after 230 years.
Vote Charlie Winburn for Hamilton County Treasurer.
Paid for by friends of Charlie Winburn.
This is State Senator Cecil Thomas asking you to vote for Charmaine McGuffey for Sheriff of Hamilton County. As a former police officer, I know Charmaine is the only qualified candidate to be sheriff. She stands with our community and will lead with accountability. Her opponent used excessive force in the killing of an unarmed Black man and led the highly controversial Vortex unit. He is the last person we need to lead our sheriff's office. Trust the judgment of someone who knows. Vote Charmaine McGuffey for sheriff, a vote for justice.
This is Charmaine McGuffey asking for your vote, paid for by people for McGuffey for sheriff.
Jill Schiller has been missing in action, and now we know why. Did you know that Jill Schiller, candidate for Hamilton County Treasurer, got away with a dangerous offense? Her friends and connections at Cincinnati City Hall turned their heads when she was racing through a Cincinnati public school zone doing 52 in a 20-mile-an-hour zone. She could have killed a child. As a mother of 3, that's concerning. 25,000 children are injured each year because of speeding in a school zone. 100 children are killed in school zones each year by people like Schiller. Schiller should have served 5 days in jail as the law states, but being privileged kept her out while you, the public, would have gone to jail. Her friends and connections at City Hall only fined her $60, and they quickly destroyed the evidence the next day. We cannot trust Schiller with our school children. Should we trust her to protect and safeguard our tax dollars? Vote for Charlie Winburn for Hamilton County Treasurer. We can trust him to safeguard our tax dollars and our children.
Paid for by friends of Charlie Winburn.
You're listening to the Nathan Ivey Show. One man, one microphone, one mission. Now let's get back to the flow.
All right, good morning, everybody. So how are we surprised by that? I'll say it again. Hey, good morning to you. How are we surprised by that? Sorry about that. I think I was just talking with no sound. So let me take it from the top here. Good morning to you. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate you. I'm not perfect. So please take a second to like and share today's show. It means everything. And just to set things up, I'll take it from the top again. And I want to talk about numerous things, not just Ice Cube, although I got to hit it. I wouldn't be me if I didn't keep it real with you. The more Ice Cube talks, the more he sounds like a smart, dumb cat, period. I've seen all of his interviews. One of his most recent interviews, he sat down with some black females on Fox Soul, because everybody loves black people now. And Fox, that's right, Fox Corporation has an all-black sort of network called Fox Soul. And one of their shows is hosted by a roundtable of black females. You might have heard of it. And they recently talked with Ice Cube. Ice Cube's doing a lot of interviews. Also, the Grio's doing a new series now called Vote for Your Life, I believe it is. Let me go to their website just to make sure. Vote for Your Life. And essentially, you know, it's a roundtable conversation with a lot of celebrities and, you know, big names and things like that, including Ice Cube. He spoke with them. What was interesting in the most recent interview with Ice Cube is that we found out that there's more to the story than what we were originally told. Because what originally the story about Ice Cube really went big was when Katrina Pearson and some other folks that work with the Trump campaign, the campaign to get Trump reelected, not the campaign to create equity policy intangibles for black people, when they went on Twitter and basically outed Ice Cube. Like, hey, shout out to Ice Cube, leaders lead, and all this kind of stuff. And basically they were exploiting the brother because they had a phone conversation. Now, Ice Cube never had a phone conversation with Mike Pence. He never had a conversation with Donald Trump. He talked with some people in the Trump campaign whose names he couldn't even remember, at least per that Roland Martin interview. He couldn't even remember who he talked to. That means they couldn't have been that important, right? Didn't leave a lasting impression. And in that interview, Ice Cube said that, you know, basically he reached out to the Democrats and they told him, we'll talk to you later, which I don't have a problem with. I think it's much more realistic than trying to pacify somebody and exploit them. But it seems like there's more to the story now. There's at least one black congressman who came out and said, well, that's not exactly what happened. And then Ice Cube himself in a recent interview said that he was contacted by Kamala Harris and by her people, the campaign, to have a Zoom call conversation. Remember, they had this Zoom call conversation. It was Killer Mike. I don't know. It might have been T.I., D.L. Hughley. And Ice Cube was invited as well. But he decided not to show up because he didn't want to be on a conference call with other celebrities. And he felt like his message would get lost. And it just doesn't make a lot of sense because you're doing all these other interviews and Zoom calls. You're sitting down with these ladies on Fox Soul, and none of them are the VP candidate. You're sitting down with the Griot, with Byron Allen and Stevie Wonder, whoever the hell was on there. Like literally, Stevie Wonder on a Zoom call. If that ain't something, I don't know what it is. But I mean, I just don't get it. So there's more to this onion that they're peeling back more and more and more. And it just ain't looking good. They asked Ice Cube about black women and why black women were left out. And I thought his answer could come across as a little bit as condescending. Like, well, how many pages should I put on there? I'm like, well, if you're making a contract for Black America, you do realize that black women are a part of Black America and that there are things that impact black women differently than it does black men, and vice versa. There are issues that black men care about that may not be at the top of the list for black females and vice versa. I don't get it, but I'll play the clip for you. We can get into it. All right, we'll talk about it. 513-873-7134. You tell me what you think. I think it's all quite interesting in my opinion. It's real interesting. Also, we got to talk about what happened at the Hamilton County Board of Elections. So if you don't know, apparently there was a Sikh couple, S-I-K-H. If I'm mispronouncing it, you got the number, set me straight. And they were walking past, I guess they were going to vote. And apparently, as the story goes, some Republican, supporters or whatever had megaphones, bullhorns or whatever. They were screaming at this couple. And they were overheard to say, That's why we need to build the wall a little higher and things like that. And so Alex Triantafilo was all in the news, and the NAACP put out something on Facebook. They got thousands of interactions with that. And people are talking about like what the Board of Elections can do now and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, I mean, who's surprised by this? I would not be surprised if it's true. Now, remember, what was it, last week? We talked to Ann Flotman. And I think tomorrow we're going to speak with Judge Melba Marsh. That's tomorrow. Looking forward to that. But last week, or maybe the week before, we talked to Ann Flotman, who is, I believe she's a Democrat candidate. Running for Hamilton County Domestic Relations Court. And she spent about 35 minutes with us telling us about her campaign and what she's going to do and things like that. Apparently, she's quoted as saying that she overheard it, like she saw it. That's why we need to build the wall higher, or that's why we need to build a higher wall. So there's a lot of racism and xenophobia wrapped up with politics, Democrats and Republicans. But in this case, people are saying that these were people that are like, were sympathizers or supporters of the Republican Party. Now, there's a quote here in this particular article that I'm reading in which, she tweeted this. At the BOE just now, a Sikh couple walked past the GOP booth to get in line to vote. The GOP lady pointed at them and said with her megaphone, "That's why we need to build the wall higher. Rude and racist for sure. Also voter intimidation." Now, a couple things here. What I would say to my Democrat fans is, I get it. I get why, you'll put something out. This is not a critique of Ann Flotman in particular. I'm just saying in general to all my Democrat fans, right? I hear you on this. But I'm less concerned with what some random GOP supporter said the GOP booth, as I am concerned with what you're going to do once you get in office. You asking black folks to vote for you, it's going to take a whole lot more than you calling out what appears to be, some rude and racist comments. I'm just telling you, dear Democrats, we need more than that. That's cool and all. I hear you. That's great. But that ain't equity and policy intangibles. I'm more concerned with what you're going to do if you get in office for me and my folks, people that look like me and my children. Okay, that's what I'm more concerned with. But I understand why this is making the news. It should make the news. It should make the news. But let's be honest here. How many people think for 1 second that the kind of virulent racism that we see, whether it be with these Karens and Darrens around the country or manifesting other ways, isn't happening here in Hamilton County, here in Cincinnati? Do you believe that? Raise your hand if you don't believe that. It's quite interesting, man. My former colleague, Lincoln Ware, was asked to be a part of a conversation with the Cincinnati Enquirer. A couple of their journalists and writers do a podcast called That's So Cincinnati. Okay. Shout out to DJ Dime Piece, by the way, because she was the first person to sort of coin that phrase. I think she got that copyrighted, actually, but that's another side issue. But anyway, I wonder if she's aware of that. But anyway, so in that interview, they asked him about racism. And L-Dub said that Cincinnati was a racist town. He kept it rizzle. You know what I'm saying? Per his experience. What was interesting about that is about a month later, they do opinion pieces. Somebody wrote an opinion piece criticizing, I guess, pushing back on what L-Dub said, on that podcast. And when I read it, it was some white dude, who had just moved to Cincinnati. He wasn't even from Cincinnati. And he was challenging as to whether Cincinnati deserved to have that negative connotation and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, where you been, bruh? I'll say it again. In 2015, shout out to the Urban League, they put out a report called The Tale of Two Cincinnatis. The information in there, the things they brought out are still relevant today. Don't let the smooth taste fool you. Don't let the cheese conies and Grater's ice cream fool you. Don't let it fool you about this city. This city, Cincinnati, has a long way to go before they deliver the equity policy intangibles that your non-white citizens deserve. We taxpayers too. I read this piece like, what in the hell? This is the dumbest ish I've ever seen in my entire life. You just got here. You just got to Cincinnati, and you're going to challenge what somebody who's been in Cincinnati his whole life has to say? It's amazing to me. I mean, the arrogance is amazing. It's astounding. Our neighborhoods are gentrified. Our schools are gentrified. Black babies struggle to get to their first birthday. Black mothers, after giving birth to black babies, struggle to get to a 1-year anniversary. If you look at the overall wealth of black homes as opposed to white households, it's about a $35,000 difference per year. For a long time, we had a bus system that, was racist, that played into the racist system here and denied people opportunities, because without a car in Cincinnati, you can't get to parts of Cincinnati. It's just, without a vehicle, you just parts Cincinnati, you just can't even get to. It's not even accessible. If you look at our CPS graduation rates and look at how black kids are doing, we got a room to grow there with most of our schools, save for one that's Walnut Hills. What the hell? Who's surprised that a seat couple is dealing with this? It's because you're the other in Cincinnati. Anyone who's the other, there's going to be elements of Cincinnati, not all of Cincinnati, but there's going to be elements of Cincinnati. They have a problem with you. You know what I'm saying? I don't have a problem with it. I'm all about diversity. Come on in. It is what it is. At a time when we have 40,000 affordable housing units to the negative, we have members of city council who thought that the number one project was to build a soccer stadium in the West End. That's the number one priority. Until recently, we had one of the upper echelon police chiefs, right, assistant police chiefs, who referred to crime using the term that everybody criticized Hillary Clinton for using. Right? Come on now. Y'all better stop it. So I'm not surprised about if this actually happened to this Sikh couple. I ain't surprised one bit, because everything that you see happen around the country is happening right here in Cincinnati. We just do it in a more polite fashion, right? We try to be polite about it. I ain't talking about everybody. I'm just saying this is America. It is real. It is what it is. Deal with it. If you don't want people talking about it, then go out there and change it. I mean, if you doubt what I'm saying, I don't know how you could, because you had Hamilton County commissioners that declared racism as a health crisis. That's in Hamilton County. You had a majority of Cincinnati council members that declared racism as a public health crisis. That's in Cincinnati. So how am I wrong? How am I wrong? You got a renaissance that's only touching some of the people. It looks like the developers run this town. They run it. It is what it is. But we're not supposed to call it out. I'm supposed to be surprised by this. I'm not surprised by it one bit. This is Cincinnati. Somebody put, you had the Black Lives Matter mural, and what happened? You had a white male that snuck up and spray painted over it. I knew it was going to happen. We all knew it was going to happen. We were just waiting for it. This is Cincinnati. The northernmost southern city in America. Right? Isn't that how they call it? So I'm not surprised by this one bit. And I'm glad to see that people called it out, but I'm not giving the Democrats no brownie points because they called this out. You don't get no points for that. You get points because you get into office and you deliver. That's when you get some points. But it's cool. You called this out. The Democrats are, they're denouncing it. It should be denounced if in fact it actually happened. And now people are looking at the Board of Elections like, what are you going to do to keep people safe and voter intimidation? I mean, these sensitivities. Like I'm saying, I mean, people gonna say racist-ish in America. It's what it is. That, props to the Sikh couple, because they just kept it moving. They went in, voted however well they wanted to vote, and left, period. Don't give these fools any oxygen. Republicans and Democrats stand side by side in corrals called bullpens, separated by yellow and black striped tape, dozens of feet from the entrance to the polls of the Hamilton County Board of Elections. Some are armed with megaphones, and they push for their candidates as people wait in line to vote. I mean, that's called democracy. It is what it is. There's some quotes in here between Nicole Sanders and Ann Flotman, like, hey, Nikki, I looked Nikki and I looked at each other. Did you hear that? Did she just say that? Did that just happen? Hey, Ann, why are you surprised? You goddamn right it happened. Look at what's happening to the non-white community in Cincinnati. There are far worse things happening if you want to get outraged about. It's far worse than that. That's minor. That's rhetorical. What's really happening to non-white folks here in the city of Cincinnati is way worse than that. It's way worse than that. So I think we should reserve our outrage for the things that we need to really be outraged about. I mean, I hope I don't know what you want to do to them. I mean, what are you going to tell them to stop saying racist things? I mean, is that illegal now to say something racist? Like, that's why we need to build the wall higher. Is that racist? Yeah, I can see it, but that's Karens and Darrens for you. Welcome to the club. We've been dealing with it. Welcome to the club. We've been dealing with it. We've been telling you about these Karens and Darrens. And those are the real problems, the real Karens and Darrens that are problems are not the ones that get caught on video. Those ain't the real problems. The real Karens and Darrens are the ones that bar you from the American dream. That's the real one. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah. I realize I ain't perfect. We on now. The real Karens and Darrens are the ones that green like bank loans. The real Karens and Darrens are the ones that have on uniforms. Those are the real problems. The real Karens and Darrens are the ones that work in our school system as teachers and administrators. Those are the real problems. I mean, some random folks at the Board of Education, keep that going. I mean, it's wrong. Don't get me wrong. It's wrong. If it was a black couple, I'd be saying the same thing. It's wrong. You might want to go on their chin. I get you. But in terms of the level, in terms of outrage and like racist ish that's happening, that is super minor to what's really going on. You got people out here. Look at Lincoln Heights. I mean, you want to talk about some real racist ish? Look at Lincoln Heights. Years and years and years and years of noise pollution, lead pollution on largely the victims is a black community. Now that's a problem. That's something to get outraged about. You want to get outraged. Now that's some racist ish right there. If you want to get outraged about something. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we can find some things to be outraged. I'm glad the story is out there, but I kind of feel like it's kind of been like yet another reason not to vote for the Republicans. I mean, again, to my Democrat friends, kill all that. I'm more concerned with what you're going to do, what your party's going to do if you get in power. That's what really matters. That's what really matters. Not the fact that, you call some Karens and Darrens saying what Karens and Darrens do is Karen, Darren, and Darren. The incredibly unambiguously racist couple. Karen, Darren, and Darren. Here's my husband, Darren. Here's my wife, Karen. That we know those folks out here in Cincinnati. We know they out here. Look at Tracy Hunter. I mean, what happened to her was far. I'm still outraged about that. Look at the sister that was on the bank with a restaurant. You still got people running around bad talking her. So I didn't need this situation to uncover the fact that racism is still alive in Cincinnati. I'm living it. I'm seeing it every day. And examples that's far bigger in terms of the impact and implication than just that. So I'm just saying, I mean, it is what it is. What do you think, family? 513, am I being too harsh? Am I being too harsh this morning? I know some people have polite sensibilities. I've said it from day one. You might get triggered. You ain't going to like everything I got to say. And so be it. Yeah, thank you so much. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Appreciate that, Frank. Appreciate that. You ain't going to like everything. I mean, where's the fun in that? Let me see if there's anything else to glean here. Yeah, that's all in the Inquirer. I'm looking at the article right now. I mean, I'm more concerned about whether a police officer was flashing the white supremacy sign to protesters down at City Hall. Did we forget about that? That's far more impactful. I care more about that than this. And it has nothing to do with the fact that these are non-black people per se, because I think that kind of racism for anybody. I'm just saying, even if it was a black couple and somebody said the N-word or go back home, I'll be like, we know you feel that way. Let's look at Cincinnati. We know that. We know these people out here. And the Democrats don't get no brownie points for bringing this out. You don't get no brownie points at all whatsoever. You only get brownie points when you deliver equity policy intangibles. Other than that, we'll holler at you. Man, they got this Negro out of town quick. Carlos Dunlap, he is out of here. He got traded to the Seattle Seahawks just like that. And I'm happy for the brother because the Seattle Seahawks seem like they're a team that's like moving in a different direction than the Bengals. I ain't mad at them. They got him out of here real quick. Had that been Marvin, oh boy, they would have legitimized everything he had to say about the coaching staff. Oh, it goes to show you that Marvin lost the locker room. Nobody's saying that Zachary has lost the locker room. It's amazing how this town works. It really is. I'll tell you, from what I've seen, some sports fans in this town, I'm talking about Bengals and Reds, would rather lose with a white head coach or manager than win with a black head coach or manager. That's just my opinion. I'm sticking by it. You don't like it? 513-873-7134. I'm setting the table here. Okay, so now we got a better understanding within the last 24 hours about where the governor's head is. And I'm talking about the governor of Ohio, Mike Spineless. Mike DeWine has no spine. He has no spine whatsoever. And my thing is, what is the use of having a color-coded warning map that they introduced back in July if when we get to the purple level, you're not going to close the state? Mike DeWine said that he has no plans on closing the state of Ohio, even if we get to purple. Then what do we have a color-coded system for, Mike DeWine? Why are we doing this? Scrap the system. That's just made for television. That level system, yellow, orange, purple, means nothing. It means nothing. Mike DeWine said it. It means nothing. So the governor met virtually with Hamilton County health and political leaders on Wednesday. Maybe you've seen heard some of the comments on local radio or in the media, something like that. And everybody agrees that Hamilton County is moving in the wrong direction. But these feckless, spineless, impotent leaders don't want to make the trigger. They don't want to pull the trigger and do what needs to be done. They won't do it because they're scared of the business community. They're scared of the white militias. It's going to go to the state house and hold signs and say, stop infringing on my rights and all this other nonsense. I'm telling you, folks, I don't like what I'm seeing from humankind. We don't have a chance. We don't have a chance of survival if, in fact, the apocalypse is in the horizon. We ain't got a chance, folks. We are done. We are done. Because not only are we going to have to deal with the impending apocalypse, we're going to have to deal with human beings as well. Mike DeWine is a problem. I don't want to hear he has to say anymore. I'm done with it. Quote, we have so much spread right now, whether the county shifts from red to purple doesn't really matter. Oh, we going to do this now? This is Health Commissioner Greg Kesterman. He said yesterday at a briefing. So we going to do this now? So we've been playing this color-coded game since July. And now we get to the point where it looks like just next. So you need at least two. I'll give you the details on what that means to be purple in just a second. But essentially it takes 2 weeks for at least 4 factors and indicators to happen. And if they see these indicators over 2 weeks, then you move to the next level. Okay. So by next week, literally by Monday, we could be in a purple. And the indication that we're getting from the governor and at least his county health commissioner, Greg Kesterman, is like, oh, no big deal. Purple's just like red. Well, if purple is just like red, that means red is just like orange. And if red is just like orange, that means orange is just like yellow. And if yellow is just like orange, which means it's just like red and purple, then what in the fuck is we doing with a color-coded system? What's the purpose of it then? What's the purpose of having a color-coded system if you're going to do the same things no matter what color level you want? Is it, to steal a phrase from Donnie B, is it just me? Am I losing it? We're in the middle of a pandemic and we are surrounded by feckless leadership in Ohio, folks. Feckless leadership. These mofos don't know what to do. And they're too afraid to do what everybody knows needs to be done, which is shut this ish down. Travel restrictions, kids at home, businesses shut, period. They're too afraid to do that because it might what? Cost them an election? Are you going to lead or are you trying to get reelected for a second term, Mike DeWine? And remember, Mike DeWine has no spine whatsoever. We're seeing it over and over again. The man has no spine. He's a threat to the sanctity of every human life in Ohio. We deserve recall measures right now. Y'all want to recall somebody? We need some real leadership. What is the purpose? So y'all played this game with us since July when you introduced this color-coded system and then, oh, yeah, we'll use this to inform the public about where we're going to do next. And then when we get to the highest threat level, what you going to do now? Create another level? Oh, okay, so now we're going to call it black. So from purple to black. And when we get into the black, ooh, this is outrageous. This is outrageous. I can't believe what I'm actually reading. It's amazing. Quote, we have so much spread right now. Whether the county shifts from red to purple doesn't really matter. Okay, then, Health Commissioner Greg Kesterman, let's not do this color-coded thing anymore. Let's scrap the whole damn thing. I don't want to play this game no more. I don't want to play this game no more. Last week, Hamilton County hit 6 of the 7 indicators that Ohio uses to measure COVID-19. If the county meets 6 indicators for 2 weeks in a row, it'll be designated purple on the state's map. That's how it works. What are we waiting for? I'll tell you what we're waiting for. We're waiting for somebody in Mike DeWine's family to get really, really sick and, God forbid, die. That's what it's going to take. It's going to take one of the elites, one of the people that are decision makers, to lose somebody close to them before they start thinking about us losing somebody close to us. That's what it's going to take. Let's keep it 100 with you. God's selfish little creatures that only really care about something when it happens to them. This is ridiculous. What are we doing here? Here's the advice that Governor Mike DeWine said just yesterday. Only leave home for supplies and services. Now, does that include sending your kids to school? Only leave home for supplies and services. Okay, so does that mean going to the bar and drinking? Mike DeWine says, only leave home for supplies and services. Does that include like hanging out in the open door deck at your favorite watering hole? What is going on here? Where is the leadership? I'm going to tell you what it is. Mike DeWine's afraid to pull the trigger because he's afraid that what happened in Michigan will happen here. That these white malicious groups might try to kidnap his ass or do some other crazy ish. That the business community might try to impeach him or something like that. But here's the reality of it, folks. We're living in incredible days, strange and unusual days, unprecedented days. Not everybody's business is going to make it. It is what it is. I wish the best for you. I read this morning that Jeff Ruby is now, they're doing like you can get his steaks to go. They're like delivering Jeff Ruby steaks now. And that's smart because you got to roll with the punches in business. Not everybody's going to make it. There's going to be an impact. These politicians are trying to do 2 things at the same time. You're trying to serve 2 masters and you cannot. It should be about public safety, period. Whatever else happens under that, so be it. Blame the COVID-19 virus. Blame whatever. Blame GOD. Where's GOD at a time like this? But it is what it is. You're not going to be able to save every business and save every human being. So for me, I prefer that you save human beings. That's just me. Do what you got to do. Do what you got to do. His advice is only leave home for supplies and services. So Governor Mike DeWine, should I send my kid to school next week? You tell me. If that's how you really believe, then where's the mandate? Close it down. Shut it down. And, pardon me, but if you own one of those kind of businesses going to be affected, then it's kind of like, you hear about these wildfires happening in parts of the country, right? Where something happens, boom, it's a blaze, it's a wildfire. Some homes are in the path of the fire and they are destroyed. You don't want it to happen, but it's nature. It is what it is. It is the same thing with COVID-19. I mean, I feel very terribly. I do. I feel for folks. Build a business, put your heart and soul into it. Then you got people working for you. That's your livelihood. You got bills to pay. I sympathize, but I don't sympathize more than the pandemic killing everybody. Your business, human life. Human life's going to win every single time over somebody's business. I'm sorry. It is what it is. I'm giving it to you straight, no chaser. I know these people want to lie to you and tell you what you want to hear and sugarcoat a bunch of dumb shit. I ain't doing it. I don't got time for it. I'm sorry. I'm pissed off this morning. I'm triggered this morning. I'm triggered when I read this dumb shit. Excuse my language. When I read this dumb ish. It's the dumbest ish I've ever heard in my entire life. We've been playing this game since July, and then we get to purple. More people got COVID. More people hospitalized with COVID. More people dying of COVID. COVID everywhere. And now this man has the nerve to tell us there's no difference between the color-coded, the color-coded ratings, the tier system. Well, who the hell elected him to be the health commissioner? It's Greg Kesterman. Now, he might be speaking facts, but the question is, Greg, what are you going to do now? What's the recommendation? It can't just be, you know what? We just going to have to deal with it, yo. We're going to have to deal with it because we can't close the bars because people got to drink. Telling you, man, our priorities are so out of whack. We can't even get our ish together, even when we're dealing with a deadly pandemic. We have no future. There's no future for mankind. I'm telling you that right now. We better hope that nothing threatens this globe because we are going to blow it. Just like in those sci-fi movies, we are going to blow the deal. We are not equipped to work together for a mutual good. We are not equipped to do that. We do not have what it takes as a society. I'm talking about all of us. We do not have what it takes. That's a muscle that we just we just have not exercised. We are not prepared to deal with these kind of things as a people. We're just not prepared because we're trying to serve too many masters, right? It's health and it's business and it's politics. Do what needs to be done. Do it. Period. Not everybody's going to love you. Not everybody's going to like you. So do what you got to do to make it happen. Hamilton County Commissioner Denise Driehaus said the governor asked local leaders to reemphasize the steps of masking, of mask wearing, hand washing, and social distancing. Listen. The reality is this. You got some dirty ass mofos out there that just don't wash their hands. They wasn't washing their hands before the pandemic. Hand washing is not a part of their daily ritual. They ain't going to do it now. Now, as a media platform, I'm here for all those efforts to interact with the community and get the word out. We're here for that. But as an individual human being, we've been begging and pleading with people to wear masks. Some people are just not going to do it. We've been begging and pleading with people to social distance. Some people are just not going to do it. They're not going to do it. It's not about, oh, I saw a billboard. Oh, I got to remember to wash my hands. They know, they just don't care. They're incorrigible. They are part of the 35% of the population that's bringing everybody down. Thanos was right. Don't let me get the Infinity Stones. Y'all gone. Telling you like that. Y'all got to go. Just like that. Don't let me get the Infinity Gauntlet. It's whack. 35% of the incorrigible, y'all are just like that. You over with. You over with. I'm just telling you. It's a wrap for you. And then the rest of us will enjoy the clean air and the better impact to the environment, the clean water, and life will be good. And you'll be a distant memory. But it ain't gonna work. Should they put those efforts in? Sure, they should put the effort in, but it's not gonna work. Any human being in Hamilton County who is not wearing a mask, who is not hand washing, and who is not social distancing is never going to do it. They've made their decision. They're not going to do it. It is what it is. The only way you can reach these people is to force them. They have to be made to do it. That's it. If you don't close it down, they're going to keep going to the bars and having social gatherings unless they're forced to do so, because that's just who they are. That's just who they are. So let's stop trying to pacify everybody and make everybody happy. I'm just telling you. I ain't saying, listen, not everybody's going to survive. It's simple as that. Not every business is going to survive. Business or spreading COVID-19, that's the decision that we have. Some are going to survive because their business, the nature of it, COVID-19 may even enhance it. Some are not because they need that walk-up traffic. What I say to my business owners and small business owners is you better put your thinking cap on and try to come up with some new ways to do what you do. That's the only recourse you really have. What other recourse? I'm speaking facts to you. I'm not lying to you like everybody else. I'm keeping it real with you. That's the truth. That's the truth. You got to come up with some new ways to make that cake. Or guess what? It ain't going to work. It's just that simple. And we're trying to do two things at one time, which depends on what you're trying to do. You know what I'm saying? We're trying to keep everything open and not spread the disease. Those two things are at odds with one another just because of the nature of how the disease is spread. So we're going to have, it's not like walking and chewing gum, which is something that you can actually do. Like people misuse that phrase all the time and they put things in there that don't really make sense, but walking and chewing gum is something you can do at the same time. What it appears to me, all evidence in front of us appears to me, family, stop me if I'm wrong, but all the evidence points to at this point, like maybe something in the near future might change. But at this point, everything indicates that we cannot leave the state totally open like it is and decrease the infection rates of COVID-19. Because if it could happen, we'd be doing it. But I know what it is. They want to keep it open until we get a vaccine. That's what it is. I mean, I already know what it is. They want to keep everything open. Then when we get a vaccine, if we can get that vaccine, everybody, then basically we can create a bubble around it and we can kill it out. I get it. That might be smart. But in the meantime, they're willing to sacrifice your health. Have you heard the latest about the long-term effects in terms of the heart tissue of COVID-19, the thickening, the inflammation that they're finding? Scientists, medical professionals don't know what that means long-term. More and more and more, they're finding high infection rates in children. They don't know what the long-term effects of having COVID-19 is. They don't know whether you can get reinfected with COVID-19. They don't know. So they're playing fast and loose with all of our lives while the scientists, right, the smart people, are in the laboratory working that Petri dish game, working that microscope game, trying to come up with a vaccine as quickly as possible. Then they're going to rush it out, so you can be human guinea pigs. So you can be human guinea pigs in it. I ain't feeling none of this, family. I'm sorry. Can you tell? I ain't feeling none of it. None of it. I ain't feeling none of it. And we don't have the best information that we need to make the best decision. And I don't even want to hear about this color-coded system no more because they don't even care about it. Well, basically, there's no difference between red and purple. So, now that if we move to purple, it's just like being in red. Okay, so why are you selling this to us then? I mean, if the reality is that it's one size fits all, why are you trying to act like you got different sizes out here? Like if you went to wherever you buy your favorite your clothes at, and you went to go get you want to buy some new pants, some new jeans, right? And you looking at the labels like, okay, 38 waist, 34 length, and then you put them on, and they don't fit, and they tell you, listen, don't look at those labels. Really, it's one size fits all. You're gonna be pissed. I don't know if it's the best analogy, actually. Maybe. I'll let you work on it. This is amazing. But again, Mike DeWine, who has no spine, the governor, white male Republican governor, he basically said that we're on our way to purple and that he has no plans whatsoever to shut down the state. There's no specific restrictions or mandatory closures to turning purple. Now, you know how Mike DeWine works. That means that we're at least 2 to 3 weeks to a month away from him doing it. Because what we've seen already is he's not the type that's going to hit the podium and say, hey, guys, I tried to tell you, but today, starting on Thursday, 2 days from now, we're going to be mandatorily, everybody's going to be locked down. That's not his style. He's more likely to come back and give you a week or two warning, right, to see if it goes back down. I mean, just feckless leadership, man. Feckless. We have so much spread right now, whether the county shifts from red to purple doesn't really matter. That just blows me away. That blows me away. So I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to do it anymore. So we don't know. Is Hamilton County going to hit purple? Well, if you talk to the Hamilton County Health Commissioner, it doesn't really matter. If you talk to the governor, it doesn't really matter because they're not going to do anything different. They're going to do more ad campaigns trying to urge people to wash their hands. Yeah, we'll see how that works, family. Brent writes, the color-coded system is to give the appearance that they had a plan. Correctamundo, Brent. Correctamundo. I got to have some. Correctamundo, man. You absolutely right. That's exactly what it is. That was just some ish they came up with to pacify the masses, to make us think they had a plan in place and or they were going to do something about it. And then when we get to the gusto, when the rubber meets the road, these mofos talking about there's no difference. Excuse me, we've been doing this since July. Now there's no difference. I know what I'm saying is unpopular to a lot of business owners. I know it. It's probably unpopular to a lot of politicians as well. But so fucking be it. It is what it is. It is what it is. Y'all can't tell me I'm wrong. You know I'm right. And Mike DeWine's afraid to do the right thing. Even he had COVID or something like that, didn't he? Even he got it. So, I mean, damn, Mike, if you got COVID and you're doing all the right things, what makes you think you getting behind a microphone saying, please wash your hands, please social distance, please wear a mask is going to have any impact whatsoever? I mean, it's an exercise in fertility. It really is. You know, it's actually madness. If you keep doing the same thing, expecting a different outcome, that's what they're doing right in front of us when it comes to COVID-19. They're doing the same thing over and over again, but they're expecting some kind of a different outcome. It's not going to happen, family. It's not going to happen. I'm sorry. But I had to spend some time on that. I got to take a quick break. We'll come right back. 513-873-7134. I'll say it again. The more Ice Cube talks, the more he sounds like a smart dumb cat. Now we found out that the Kamala Harris campaign did reach out to him. They were going to do a Zoom call between him and some other celebrities. Whether Ice likes it or not, he's a celebrity. That's how people see you. They see you from Friday and all your movies and things like that, all your entertainment endeavors. That's how they see you. That's how you sold yourself. I love the fact that he has a black agenda. Okay, I wish we were talking more about the particulars of it, but we're not. We are where we are. It is what it is. But when I heard him say that the Kamala Harris campaign reached out to him for a Zoom call and he turned it down, I'm thinking, wait a minute. You're doing all these shows and Zoom calls. You on with Fox Soul. You on with Byron Allen on the Griot. You talking to Willie D. You talking to all these people. But when you get an invitation to talk to the vice presidential candidate, you turn it down? Come on, B. That don't even make no damn sense. I don't want to be on there with other celebrities. Well, when you was on with the Griot, you was on with other celebrities, you and John Legend. It was you, John Legend, and Byron Allen and Stevie Wonder or something like that. Maybe Stevie Wonder wasn't on there. He was on another show. What's the difference, Ice? At least Kamala Harris was willing to talk to you directly, as opposed to the Trump campaign sending some people you don't even know. So it just, the more that comes out, man, the less it makes sense, family. Listen, I know some people like, there you go again, Nate, but you're right, there I go again, keeping it real with you. It's the Nathan Ivey Show. Warning, you will be triggered. You will be triggered. We'll be right back.
The Nathan Ivey Show is supported by listeners. Go to www.patreon.com/Nathan Ivey Show and help Nathan keep the show independent.
Senator Cecil Thomas asking you to vote for Charmaine McGuffey for Sheriff of Hamilton County. As a former police officer, I know Charmaine is the only qualified candidate to be sheriff. She stands with our community and will lead with accountability. Her opponent used excessive force in the killing of an unarmed black man and led the highly controversial Vortex unit. He is the last person we need to lead our sheriff's office. Trust the judgment of someone who knows. Vote Charmaine McGuffey for sheriff, a vote for justice.
This is Charmaine McGuffey asking for your vote. Paid for by people for McGuffey for sheriff.
So many Democrats voting for Charlie Winburn. Democrat Malcolm Timmons.
I'm voting for Charlie Winburn because he is a man that does what he says he's going to do, and he gets things done for our community.
Democrat Nettie Matthews.
Of course I'm voting for my brother Charlie Winburn because he cares about the black community.
Democrat Paul Booth.
I'm voting for my longtime friend Charlie Winburn. He will put people over party.
Democrat Zakiya Allen.
I'm voting for Charlie Winburn because he has a positive track record in our community.
Democrat Charles Wiley.
I am voting for Charlie Winburn because he will be accountable to us.
Democrat Klein Carricker.
I'm voting for Charlie Winburn because he helps to train hundreds of African Americans through his leadership masterclass.
Democrat Jafanya Wynn.
I'm voting for Charlie Winburn because he cares about women with children, providing child care and a school for K through 8th graders.
Democrat T. Renee.
I want to see the first African American county treasurer elected after 230 years.
Vote Charlie Winburn for Hamilton County Treasurer.
Paid for by friends of Charlie Winburn.
This is the Nathan Ivey Show. Get ready to be engaged. Get ready to be informed. Get ready to be enraged by the man City Beat magazine called a talk radio rebel. And your host, now back to the show.
Well, it's all about the hand that you're dealt with, right? Man, there's people that's won like the World Series of Poker with a so-called bad hand. You know, sometimes life will deal you lemons. You got to make lemonade out of it. It is what it is. Welcome back. It's all about what you're made of, not the circumstances. Good morning to you. That's what it's all about. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome back. If you want to share your thoughts, you got the number 513-873-7134. I'm expecting a couple calls this morning. One is from Ron Hummins. He's got I think it's hella important campaign and initiative that if you haven't heard about, you need to hear about it. And he's asking for your help to do something that I think if he's successful will have a major impact on people that live in Cincinnati, Hamilton County, and the state of Ohio, if perhaps not the country. So he's scheduled to give us a call this morning. It's a state of emergency. Have you heard about the campaign? If not, he'll be on about 9:15 this morning. We'll chop it up. So in about maybe 35 minutes. Looking forward to that. 513-873-7134. Good morning to you. I know I went off. I know that the first maybe 5 minutes or so, hopefully it wasn't that long. My mic was not on, but we good now. We are good now. Good morning back. Yes. Kamala, yes. Good morning. I was very impassioned. Thank you. Appreciate it. Pamela writes, Kamala. That's right, Kamala. Kendall writes, good morning. Nay, you was flowing without sound. I seem to be doing a lot of that lately. Greg writes, I was not aware till just now that Kamala Harris invited Q to a Zoom call. Yeah, he said it himself. I mean, come on, Q, was you lying to us, man? And then he turned around and said, well, the reason I didn't do it is because I was told by my lawyer who knows people in Kamala Harris's camp that she was going to call me personally. I'm just, that ego, man, Ice Cube's ego, man, that's what it is. That's the reason why he spoke with Trump. It was his ego. He's like, well, damn it, somebody going to get me on the phone. I'm going to talk to somebody. I'm like, bro, easy now with your ego. You know what I'm saying? Everybody got to call you. Call me. I don't really do that. You know, all this call you. I mean, unless you're the wifey, my children, my mama, you know, maybe we got some business together, something like that. But other than that, No, we ain't doing that. It's got to be mutual, right? Absolutely. Call me. It was supposed to call me, so I didn't do the Zoom call. But you don't do the Zoom call with the vice presidential candidate who invited you personally. But you'll go on the Griot. If you go to the Griot right now, go to their website. They're doing something called Vote for Your Life, which is it's a weekly town hall series where they talk about politics. And it includes Byron Allen on some of them. Like, he's been on some of them. Vote for Your Life. And they just kicked this off in the last few weeks. And basically, it's a Zoom call. It's a Zoom call that's made public. And it's hosted by Natasha Alford. Pardon me. And they had one with April Ryan, Byron Allen, Stevie Wonder, and Jamie Foxx. That's right, Stevie Wonder on a Zoom call. I get it. And they had one with T.D. Jakes and Charlamagne the God and Common. They had one with that. And they had one with Ice Cube. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. The one with Ice Cube, it was him. It was Ice Cube, Byron Allen, Natasha Alford, Tiffany Haddish, rocking her wig, and April Ryan. So, Ice, make this make sense, man. What's the difference? What's the difference between you doing a Zoom call with the Griot and you're on the line with other celebrities, like, and other folks, and you're doing a Zoom call with somebody who might be in a position of power? None of these people that you're on a Zoom call with, Ice, none of them are in a position to do anything other than maybe give you a platform for your contract in America. Kamala Harris could be the next vice president. She might even run for president one day if she successfully, becomes the vice president. You never know. So you turn that down because they're supposed to call you personally. I mean, come on, dude. I mean, I love me some Ice, man, but the more he talks, the more he sounds like a smart dumb cat. The more he talks, I'm sorry, I got to keep it real with you. Brian writes, I don't even know if it's polite. It's just covered up and downplayed. I walk in the mental space of I don't give a F, so I don't get phased most of the time. But you can't be black and be downtown all day on a normal day and not experience some racist ish. I get the Cincinnati polite reference, though. The dangerous Karens and Darrens point is spot on. But I will say that the more that they openly say this ish with no repercussions from us, the easier it is for lawmakers to feel justified acting on their racism in their position. I feel you on that. May writes, I detect no lies there. A truth. Bungles. Candyman writes, I got a chance for survival. A damn good chance. Is that right? Nat writes, Mike Brown and the city business elite give money to Republicans, Trump, and serve to maintain white supremacy. As soon as a council person wants to go in a different direction, they threaten to move their businesses. Let's start calling out these elite names. I'm okay with that. Brian writes, and we are well into purple, more than double the cases than we had in March. They are doing what needs to be done for who they serve, the wealthy. Let these workers die off and see the survivors on the other side. These are health officials, meaning voice boxes for politicians. Not the same as people speaking as scientists, even if they have science backgrounds. Purple is just like green, right? Purple's just like green, just like yellow, just like red, just like orange. I'm not sure the green is on there. Maybe green is where you start. But right, we found out within the last 24 hours that there's no difference in the color-coded system. It's all the same. Because Mike DeWine isn't going to do any. What has he done differently as we've been going up the color scale, the color code? Nothing. They ain't been doing nothing different. He hasn't suggested doing anything different. He comes on and he begs with Ohioans, please wash your hands. It's like dealing with a child. I had to teach my children how to wash their hands. What the hell do I look like doing that with a grown person? You show me a motherfucker that's not washing their hands during a pandemic, and they haven't been washing their hands before the pandemic. You nasty. you dirty ass human being, you. I mean, you are who you are, homie. No, pandemic, pre, post, it is during, it is what it is. If you weren't wearing a mask beforehand, like when it first started, you ain't wearing a mask now. If you weren't socially distancing before, like my brother came to the house the other day, no mask on. I'm 7 feet away from him. He's been told, don't knock on this motherfucking door. Don't show up over here just unexpected. We love you, but it's a pandemic. Act like you know. Act like you cognizant of it, like it's a real thing. There's people out here that's like I told you, man, like if there was an asteroid that was plummeting toward Earth with the impending like total destruction, annihilation of the human race, 30% of the population wouldn't even believe it. Even if they could look up and see it coming toward us in the sky, they wouldn't believe it. They would not believe it. They would think it was a Democrat hoax. Oh, the Democrats, it's going to miss us. Asteroids come close to Earth every day. We get hit by asteroids every day, literally. It's the same mentality when it comes to climate change. It's the same mentality. It don't matter what the science says. It don't matter what people can see. 30% of the population don't believe it. They believe that the world is flat. Like they really believe that all these things that are happening, that's just normal. It's just the Democrats are making a bit. They're trying to make a mountain out of a molehill. Man, it gets cold every winter. It gets hot every summer, right? That's what these fools actually believe. I'm telling you, man, don't let me get my hands on Thanos' Infinity Gauntlet. Just like that, 30% it's a wrap for you. No tears. I mean, just like Thanos, I'm gonna go somewhere and find me a little planet, chill out, start a little garden. You know what I'm saying? Get one with nature. Just knowing that that's why Thanos was such a good. That's the reason why Thanos was such a good antagonist in the Avengers series, because deep down we kind of jive with his plan, right? We do have to trim the fat here, quite honestly. Yeah, we do. That's what made him such a dope villain in those Avengers series, because it's like he's kind of got a point, right? And we're seeing it right now with just COVID-19-ish. Run around here talking without a mask on, talking about some good morning. How you gonna say good morning during the pandemic? I'm walking past you trying to get my exercise on, and you don't have a mask on. If it was a good morning, you just spoiled it with your COVID cooties. Talking about some damn good morning. Don't say good morning. If you really care, don't say good morning. Just nod. That's it. Oh, man. World we live in. Candy writes, how you going to get supplies and services? They shutting down. Who going to provide services? The government? Y'all crazy. Danita writes, DeWine, just like all Republican governors, won't call a shutdown until after the election. If it happens now, then it's on Trump. If Biden does win, then the shutdown will come and it will be on the Democrats who destroyed the economy and took away personal freedoms. They playing politics with us, what you're saying, Danita. You might be right on that one. God watching out for those who follow his commandments, those who don't want Daddy Biden or Daddy Trump to save them from the COVID boogeyman. Man, listen, you got Christians that serve God their whole life that's died of COVID. So please stop. Candy, man. God ain't saving nobody from COVID. Yes, I do. Want some tea? It's in there. I'm a lucky man. Man, listen, Christians dying, atheists is dying of COVID. Did you get COVID? You know, it's hit or miss. You are triggered, just cursing. Watch out for the little one. You're right. You know, I'm just like everybody else. I get caught up in the flow sometime. I admit it. Brent writes, it's survival of the richest. Anthony writes, morning, chop shoppers. Good morning. Danita writes, Nate, you were just thinking about small businesses. The shutdown affects everyone. What about people who work? What about the people who work in factories, schools, services, industries? Everyone can't afford not to work. If people went to work and school and took their behinds home, it would help. Total shutdown is not the answer. I disagree with you. Total shutdown is the answer. Total shutdown is the answer to the question of how do we stop COVID-19 from spreading at such a fast rate. To that question, the answer is total shutdown. Now, that might not be the answer to other questions, but to that question, which is what I'm focused on, that is the answer. That is it. You got politicians that can't even agree on federal COVID-19 relief, family. All the smart economists are saying, all the businesses are saying, make sure you give Americans COVID-19 stimulus checks. That's one way to help not just individuals, but help businesses. Democrats and Republicans can't even agree on it during the pandemic because of politics. Telling you, we don't have a chance. God forbid something real. Again, this might be it with COVID-19. But let's say there's an even more dangerous, you know what I'm saying, or deadly impending disaster. We don't have a chance. We are not going to make it. Here in this country, we are mentally ill-equipped to deal with these kind of situations. We're looking at it right in front of us, where grown, smart, intelligent people won't even do what they know they're supposed to do because they're getting caught up in politics. They're getting caught up in the money game, and they're overlooking human lives. So basically what they're telling us is that some lives are expendable. Like, okay, well, you know, we lose a couple 100,000 of you. I mean, you know, hey, the rest of us will survive. That's what they're telling us. That's what they're telling us straight up. Let me see. Hari Usman. Oh, see, I'm going to have to block you, Hari Usman. Yeah, man, I don't know what the hell that's all about, but I will do that I might do it now, actually. Let's see. Yeah, oh, yeah. Hold on one second, Ham. We're going to have to go ahead and block this dude right here, this Hari Usman. Sometimes you get these come on, Facebook, do your damn job. Sometimes you get these spam, Facebook accounts, and they put a lot of spam on your feed. Let me see this so I can block this dude with the quicks. No, I don't think so. No. If you can't find it, don't worry about it, babe. It's all good. Hey, good morning to you, Lynn. Each person's family is on their own. The government will not be there. I was told that 10 years ago. You have a so-cake pet president has told us COVID is over. That's right. He keeps telling us COVID is over. Curtis writes, Australia's been locked down since April. Really? Didn't know that. The Australians are much smarter than us. Like, when they had a mass shooting in Australia, they didn't let politics get in the way of it. They didn't yabba-do around and do a whole bunch of dumb ish. They banned access to weapons, and they haven't seen those kind of mass shootings ever since then. Some gunman about 10, 15 years ago, man, got his hands on some weapons, went to like a beach in Australia and killed like a couple dozen people, just like straight out of a movie, was killing folks. What did Australia do? They banned it. They banned access to different weapons. Weapons in particular made it much more difficult. Haven't had the same problem. Here in America, our politics get in the way of doing what we need to do for the people. Australia's second largest city ends 101-day virus lockdown. So it looks like they ended it. They just recently ended it. So they just ended it. See, Australia did what we should have did here in Hamilton County. We should just either still be in lockdown or just be coming out of lockdown. And nobody can tell me that if we did that it would not have spread the disease as much as it has. Now, how do we know this? We know this because the governor said it. On one hand, the governor opened up these restaurants and bars for business. But as early as last week, he said that the spread of the virus is happening in these kind of environments. I mean, here in the city, there was a big article about 3 establishments downtown, right? Hey, Terrence, thank you so much. Laverne, thank you so much for the likes. I appreciate it. Your likes and shares mean everything. There's some businesses that are on they're threatened with being shut down. Why? Well, among other things, they haven't been doing what they need to do to keep everybody safe. I mean, the reality is, family, that we can't trust us. That's the truth. We can't trust us when it comes to COVID. I wish we could, but we cannot. Yeah, let me, as soon as it comes back up, I'm going to block this dude. This, whatever it is, talking about some money he won on the Cash App. Later for that, bro. Appreciate you, but later for that. Jermaine writes, racism is in the way in America. It is. It is. But that's the point. The government should be locking down and using our tax monies to take care of those bills. People over profit. I agree with you. Nicole writes, we are going to be stuck in this continuous nightmare because no unified plan and no willingness to sacrifice a little to get our lives back. I agree completely. I agree completely. There ain't no plan. There's no plan. They don't have a plan. They're lying to you if they say they have a plan. Their plan is real simple. Oh, thank you so much for the likes and shares. I appreciate it, man. I really do. And please share this content on Facebook so people can see what we got going on here on the show and with this platform. It means everything. It's crazy. Let me jump inside the Chop Shop. Can't ignore my Chop Shop people. Tracy Rice, hi. Chuck Rice, sup. Tanika Rice, good morning, Nana Choppers. Fox Rice, rise and shine, young stars. I don't know what you just wrote there. The alt middle loves the kids, but the rest of y'all cats are hit or miss. Anyway, a head nod and grimy dap to all of y'all this morning. Is that right? I like that. Brenda Rice, happy Thursday. Jared Rice, good morning, hashtag Team and I. Hey, good morning to you, Brian. Sharp Rice, good morning, Nate and the Choppers from the soggy Cincinnati, Ohio. Yes, look outside the window. It's still a beautiful day, man. I'm just beautiful. It's just beautiful. I can see it. I can see the trees and everything. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Listen, life is lovely. It's great to be alive. Alexander Scamilton writes, good morning, Nathan. Most men in our generation, a love-hate relationship with Ice Cube. We love his music all day, but because Ice Cube was among the first rappers to have the potty mouth, we oftentimes drew the ire of our parents, especially our moms, while reciting his lyrics around the house. Alt middle is the children, however, you are immersed. I don't have really a love-hate relationship with Ice Cube. I have a love-love relationship. I don't hate him at all. Don't think because I'm saying he's coming across as a smart dumb cat means that I hate him. If I said it about you, Fame, it doesn't mean I hate you. That's just how I feel about something you might have just said. You know, vice versa, right? It is what it is. So no, it's just, this is a very critical time right now, right before this election. There's so many politics being in play. Who would have ever foresaw that Ice Cube would be having an impact in the presidential conversation right now? And he will for some people. And I just want to get to the bottom of it and make sure we can separate the real from the fake. You know what I'm saying? That's all I want to do. I want to separate the real from the fake. That's it. I want to tell you what's real and tell you what's fake. That's it. Question, everyone that wants us to shut down, are we going to pull together? No, we're not. We're not going to do none of that. What we're going to do is keep everybody safe. But let me go back to your question. Everyone that wants us to shut down, are we going to pull together and those who are able to work at home and still receiving a paycheck? How much money are you going to give to those who won't receive a check? Are you willing to have quarantine pods and let people who get evicted come live with you? I mean, inside my circle, yes. But what I'm willing to do, Danita, as a taxpayer, is I'm more than willing to allow, with no protestation whatsoever, no protest from me, for those representatives to make sure they keep a steady stream of stimulus check money going to the people that need it. I mean, that's the whole purpose of it, right? I think the check should be doubled, quite honestly. What is it, like $1,200 per adult? It really should be $2,400 at least per adult, $1,000 per child. It needs to be a protracted stimulus package that we can receive, if not monthly, but to endure us all the way through COVID-19. Then at the same time, the businesses need to be shut down. That's just what it is. The schools need to be shut down. That's just what it is. I mean, this is just facts. It is what it is. I think that most of us, if we're being fair and we're being reasonable, agree with that. Nat writes, trolls in the house. Yeah, I guess that is a troll. I don't know what the hell. He just blessed me with my cash out. Okay, great. I feel you on that, man. Ballhead writes, good morning, Nathan Choppers. I feel you, Mr. Ivy. I've already lost one sister to COVID, and I was just informed Monday that my youngest sister had COVID and she has a heart condition. This is a mess. I told my son's school that he will not be coming to school. They told me he stands a chance of getting a truancy charge. I'm tired of this ish, and I'm pissed. I'm pissed to F off. Shut this down. So that's wrong. I mean, here we are in a pandemic, and his school, is that a Cincinnati public school? Let me know what school that is, Baldhead. I'm curious. The school that his child attends told him he might get a truancy charge because he don't want put his kid in harm's way. Quite frankly, I think that CPS should allow parents. There should be no limit. And really, in my opinion, you should be, if you're currently doing the in-school learning plan, you should at any time be allowed to move to virtual learning. Because when you get more evidence, you might change your thinking. It might change your behavior. And every single day, we're getting more evidence that COVID-19 is going berserk in Ohio because of the ignorance and the willful ignorance of a lot of people. Stop begging adults to wash their hands. They're not going to do it. Stop begging adults to wear masks. They're just not going to do it. You're not going to do it. Dale writes, reported and blocked. Appreciate that. Oh, thank you so much. Oh, okay. I'm not sure where it is. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Could you give me that turmeric? Thank you. Yeah, a little turmeric in my tea is always good. Or turmeric, or however you pronounce it. Yes, you can get reinfected with COVID. No empathy writes, just curious, if you want to shut everything down and life matters, who is going to serve you? Does the service industry, workers, life matter? Well, when I say shut down, I'm talking about a shutdown on your travel. Shutting down certain businesses that have shown to be spreaders of COVID-19. That's what I'm speaking of, so I can be more specific about it. All right, let's go back to the phones here, or to the phones for the first time this morning, actually. And let's say good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Mr. Ivey. This is Baldhead.
Hey, what up, Baldhead? What's up, man?
How you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. Man. So, damn, tell us what happened, man, with your son and what, is that a Cincinnati public school?
Yes, sir. So what happened was, I have custody of my oldest boy. And I said to him, well, he asked him to go visit his mom for a little bit. I said, yeah, sure, you go visit her. And he went out there and, Cincinnati Public, they send these robocalls. And those robocalls don't leave a voicemail message. And I drive for a living, so I can't pick up my phone every time Cincinnati Public School calls.
Right.
So I tell him, please leave me an email or something, So during the process that he's at his mom's house, they said the deadline was coming for him to decide whether they want to stay at home on the computer or they want to come in for 2 or 3 days a week or whatever.
Right.
So he told his mom didn't do anything about it, which is poor parenting. This is the reason why he lives with me. So when he gets back home, he says, hey, Dad, could you go down to the school and fill out the paperwork, this, that, and the next? And I was like, well, why you didn't been tell me this? So I get down there on my lunch break, fill out the paperwork. And the lady said, well, it's too late. And we're going to put you on a wait list. And I said, well, how long will I know? How long is the waiting list? How will I know when the decision is, this, that, and the next? She said, well, I don't know. When I ask the principal, I'll let you know. Keep in mind, this has been like a week and a half, almost 2 weeks. So I said, well, he's not coming. He's going to stay at home. Well, I said, so what's the consequences of that? Well, he can catch a truancy charge. So I'm heated by then. So instead of me getting too heated, I just turn around, have a nice day, and walk out. He's still not going.
Mm-hmm. Damn. Are you afraid? Are you afraid about this?
Don't have a plan either.
Are you concerned about the possibility of a truancy charge?
Some of these public officials on to ask them some questions to see what's their plan.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Baldhead.
So it's a mess out here. Yeah.
Are you concerned about this truancy threat? Basically, it was a threat.
You know what? At this point, right now, no, I'm not. I'm not going to be too concerned about it. I mean, my son's doing really good at school. You know, he is a junior, and next year, you know, he's expected to get on out of there. But you know what? And I'm gonna say this, and I don't mean no disrespect to anybody. I don't know what these white folks will do. I can't. They do whatever they want to do. You know, if they do put a truancy on him, then I'm gonna have to go to court.
Mm.
And then what? Because she said it with a straight face, he get a truancy charge.
Now, was this was this an assistant principal or who said this?
It was a school official. Just one of the school officials down there in the office.
Huh.
And he's in high school, of course, yeah.
With a
and so I was
charge
like, well, how long is the you know, when will we know when, you know, when they can stay at home, or they it's been approved they can stay at home, or what's it's almost like they making kids go until, you know, they say, okay, it's cool for them to stay at home and stay on the computer. I don't know. I don't know nothing. Can't nobody tell me nothing.
Well, you said they reached out to you, but because of the nature of your work, it's hard for you to get the phone call or something like that. Isn't that what you said?
Yeah, because I told her, I said, you know, these robocalls, they don't leave a voicemail. They don't leave a voicemail. I told her, I said, you know, I drive for a living. I can't pick up the phone whenever I get a call from Cincinnati Public or from his school directly. I can't pick up the phone or I lose my job.
Like,
you know?
wait. So when you say you can't pick up the phone, is it against the rules of your job, or is it difficult while you're doing a job?
No, it's just against the rules of my job. It ain't difficult. I could do it all day long.
Okay.
But it's difficult. You know, sometimes I try to pull over and catch it if I can, if I'm in a position to pull over. But it's you know, it's rough.
I'm glad you said it, because I was going to say, man, you got to make the effort to get that call. You know what I'm saying? But it sounds like you're already doing it. And they don't leave, you're right, they don't leave voice messages. It would be better if they left a voice message, you could return to it, or maybe send you a text message, something like that.
Right. Exactly. Or even an email. What do you ask for my email address for if you don't use them? You know,
that can get very expensive.
It's a crazy situation. It's a real crazy situation out here, man. It really is. It's stressful getting up every morning and going back home and doing it all over again. You don't know what's going to hit you.
Absolutely. And the officials don't know either, man. Talking about someone, there's no difference between red and purple. So if we go to purple, it's just like red. I'm like, wait a minute. What's the point of having a color-coded system then?
What is the purpose? I'm glad I'm colorblind, so I don't see them no damn way. But anyway.
Hey, Ballhead, thanks for the call, man.
No problem. Thank you, Mr. Ivey.
Yeah, most def. Yeah, it's deep out here, man. People got to make difficult decisions. It's just what it is. You got to make a difficult decision these days. Welcome to the new America, where sneezing on somebody is tantamount to fighting words. What would you do if somebody just achoo all over you? You ready to fight? You ready to fight? You ready to fight right then and there. Danita writes, robocalls leave a voicemail, and if you have an email on file, you get both. Do be a proactive parent and quit blaming the school because you don't handle your business. Somebody writes, yes, but I didn't hear the name of the school. Let me think. Do I? Let me see here. I think, to be honest with you, I think that he is wrong about that. I think that they do leave voice messages. Let me check my voice messages right now. I think they do leave messages. Yeah. I got a voice message right here.
Good evening, parents and students. This is Principal Chambers. I just have one important announcement.
Chambers, that's the principal at Walnut Hill. So yeah, you do get voice messages from CPS. So maybe you need to set something up, man, on your phone or something like that. Right? It just kind of struck me as odd when you said it, but I mean, I just played for you a little bit of a message I get from my daughter's school. So you do get messages. Charles writes, he never said the name of the school. He didn't. He didn't. Yes, it is a CPS school. Oh, okay. Okay, cool. Appreciate it. Will do. Like, as I said, I'm scheduled to get a phone call at 9:15 a.m. from Brother Ron Hummons, brother from the Cincinnati area, who is doing big things, in my opinion, as it relates to our community and really all communities in terms of declaring trauma and a health crisis here, a state of emergency here in the state of Ohio. And he's doing some stuff that is one of a kind. And I think if he's successful, we could have a major impact in the state of Ohio, in our communities, in all communities, in terms of opening people's eyes up about the state of trauma in the state of Ohio. Like I really feel like he's on the right path because we try to deal with a lot of issues when the root underlying cause is trauma, but we misdiagnose it and mislabel it. And you know what we do in America. You know how we do. You know how we do. Ice Cube's contract with Black America does not have any real substance in terms of legislation and initiatives. Why should Sister Kamala call that fake ass gangster? O'Shea is telling his agenda with his actions, not his words. Again, I'm all for it. Jermaine writes, there is virtual learning in some schools. I can't see him being charged with truancy. He did respond to the school. Brent writes, set up your voicemail, bald head. Right. Set up your voicemail, man. Again, I just play for you. You can CPS can send you voicemails. We just saw it. Hold on, let me pull this up here because I promised I would play it. We got a couple of minutes here. Not enough time to really get into it deeply, but maybe after our phone call, we can get into it. Hold on, let me make sure the brother has my number too. That would be important. That might be important. 134. Yeah. He's doing a push right now to raise awareness about it. And as I've said before, if you out here doing something real for our community, it's an open platform for you. I welcome you to come on and talk about what your initiative is with our audience, especially if it impacts the Black community here in the greater Cincinnati, Hamilton County, Ohio area, tri-state area, the country. It's always an open door. It's always an open door to you and whatever you're doing. 100%. 513-873-7134. Just hold on to that for a second, family, as I'm awaiting a phone call. And I just want to make sure that I give my guests the time and the respect that they'll need. I don't want them to be blocked by trying to come in. Hey, good morning. Welcome to the show.
What's going on, brother?
Hey, Ron, how you doing, man? Good morning to you.
Man, I'm good. How you feeling this morning?
I can't complain. I'm more blessed than I should be. You know what I'm saying? Than I deserve to be. But how you doing?
Yes, sir. I can't complain, man. I'm out here doing this work, trying to create this movement, man. It's going to create the healing that our children and our communities need to thrive. So as long as I continue moving in that direction, I'm good.
It sounds great to me, brother. So for folks, just briefly, for folks who might be hearing your voice for the first time, and I'm sure there are people out there who fit that description, tell us, your mission, and then update us on what's going on right now and how the community, can help or be a part of what you're doing.
Okay. So the state of Ohio is facing a public health crisis with responses that for decades has had no progress whatsoever. And that public health crisis is childhood trauma, right? So I'm pushing for Ohio to become the first state to execute a state of emergency on childhood trauma. So a lot of people, I've got very little support from the community on it, and I believe that a big part of it is because of the lack of education on the science of trauma, right? Like we don't really understand. We know what trauma means, we know what it is, as far as in term basis, but we really don't understand it, from a scientific basis, right? So that's why I'm going to give a couple of examples real quick to help people understand how we're living in our trauma and how trauma is childhood trauma specifically is impacting our everyday lives, especially in our adult years. So I have a friend, she has 10 kids with 6 different baby daddies, right? So I'm just giving an example. 10 kids with 6 different baby daddies. And, she goes from job to job, struggling financially, and really just trying to, put pieces together every month just to live, right? So one day I asked her, I said, I'm confused. Like, why did you have so many kids? And, you're not even in a position really to take care of them. Like, your life is chaotic. And her response was, Well, I always wanted to have a lot of kids. Since I was little, I wanted to have a lot of kids. And I had to help her understand. I explained to her, I said, you're living in your trauma. Most of us are living in our traumas, right? And what that'll do is that'll allow us to give create this lie response for our trauma. And I told her, I said, see, that's not normal. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, you know, let's say like in the white community, you know, before they have children, they establish, you know, it's economically make sure that everything is put in place, so that when those kids come into the world, they're able to be sustained, taken care of, grow up, and thrive, and everything else. But I told her, I said, so you were living in your trauma, and what does that look like? Sex for you was a form of acceptance. You know, those unhealthy touches from men, that was your version of love. So this is your trauma. This is your trauma speaking to you. This is how your trauma language. And I said, until we understand it, until we understand that all we're doing is living on our trauma, and that chaos has become our normalcy. For you to respond and say, well, I always wanted to have a lot of kids, but you don't have any money. The kids' fathers aren't in their lives, you know, back and forth in jail and things of that sort. I said, see, that's chaos. But because the trauma has become our normalcy, we'll give it a label of, you know, this is what we always wanted. This is the life that we wanted. No, living in poverty like that, you know, a man going back and forth to jail, not being able to sustain the stuff out here, living with different women, sleeping on couch, like all this is us living in our trauma. So until we heal our trauma, we'll never thrive as a community. You know, so that's why for me, man, like when we started to understand trauma, I didn't really understand trauma, to be honest with you, until the suicide death of my son, my firstborn son, because I understood abuse and, you know, and growing up rough. And, you know, we always use these terms of, you know, the overcoming type story. So I didn't understand trauma and the science of it. I didn't understand the programming and deprogramming of trauma. See, those cells will attach itself, man, to our frontal cortex and literally in our brain, the frontal cortex, that part of our brain that's responsible for rational thinking, and start shaping it in a way to where it creates these survival skills. So like I said, and with that young lady, what are those survival skills? Love is automatic survival skills for any human. But when you grow up and you know, abandoned by your mom, you know, alcoholic father, whatever the situation we grew up in, man, that creates the trauma in our lives, those survival skills look different for us. So for me, for instance, I was conceived by rape. I was adopted at the age of 5 to a man that tried to beat the skin off my bones. I mean, the abuse got so bad it left me in the hospital multiple times. I grew up in the streets and then found my biological father at the age of 12. Did my first armed robbery with him that he left the man dead. He was the one who killed him. So I grew up seeing all of this violence, all of this addiction, all of this chaos in my life. And then after, you know, my early 20s, I go to prison. So this is how my trauma shaped me. The survival skills that it created in me, right? You know, been shot, been stabbed twice. So now as an adult, my nervous system, man, is on high alert. So like, I want your callers right now to just pay attention to your body right now. Even you, Nathan, pay attention to your body right now. Are your shoulders kind of just like up just a little bit? You feel like a tension in your body, in your hands, your arms. I just take a second and just drop your shoulders just a little bit. See, that's going into that safe zone. But our nervous system, we don't know safe. We don't know safety because we're caught up in such heavy survival skills that's all we know. So in our community, what we call our community, which we don't actually have there's no such thing as a Black community. And I don't know if you callers actually understand that. We live in Black populated districts that are white communities. But to us though, this has become our normalcy, right? This is the chaos. We don't own our homes. We live in poverty. We live in a system that literally shaped our trauma. The same people that give us our policies are the same people that give us our trauma. So economically, judicially, socially, we are literally living in a survival mindset, and we'll never thrive until we heal our trauma. So that's why for me, I knew this became the most important issue of this decade, of our lifetime. Because, you know, everybody's talking about, you know, Black Lives Matter and, you know, and there's racial tension and America wanting to heal America can't heal its racism until it heals our trauma. America created our trauma. So if they gave us reparation right now and gave every black person $200,000, 70% of us will be broke within a week because of that trauma. We'll give it right back to these white people. So we got to heal that piece first. If we heal our trauma, the black community, man, you're talking about something that will thrive. A healed black community is a stronger America. Because guess what? George Floyd wouldn't be in that position that he was in to get violated by those cops the way he did, with a fake $20 bill, because economically we'd be thriving. So we wouldn't be shopping in these little bootleg ass, airborne stores that we get our groceries from, right? A lot of these situations that we're in, unfortunately, we wouldn't be in these situations if our trauma was healed, because we will be thriving. We will own our communities because we will own the banks that own the homes. So until we heal our trauma, we will not thrive. So the state of emergency on childhood trauma, right? So the bill is HCR 25. It's actually in the health committee right now. And it's literally, so it's this close. Like, we're in the fourth quarter right now, right? With the football analogy. So we're in the fourth quarter with this bill right now, with 1 minute and 38 seconds left. This has to get done this year, right? So it's in the health committee right now. It goes from the health committee to the governor's desk. That's how close this is. That's really why, like I said, we're literally like at the 20-yard line. Like, I mean, we can get to the goal this year. It's only thing we have to do now is do a drive power play that would get this to the governor's desk and get it signed. Because and let me give your callers somebody to help them understand exactly what the bill will address, right? So one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to require juvenile and family court judges trauma responsive training, right? Not trauma informed, because trauma informed only says, well, I went into this 8-hour course, now I'm informed. I got a certificate. But we want to teach them trauma response. But we also want to teach them trauma responsive care and cultural humility. So what does cultural humility mean? See, our trauma is unique. See, little Billy's trauma from Indian Hills and little Jamal Avondale, those traumas are not the same. When you start to understand epigenetics, right? Like I said, the science of trauma. Epigenetics is the transfer of trauma in our DNA. So we think about 400 years of trauma, and out of 400 years, 36 generations created out of 400 years. 26 black generations created that have now repetitive trauma. Man, our nervous systems, man, are so jacked up. We have to heal. So, like I said, I want to provide training for juvenile family court judges, and cultural training to help them understand those differences. And so, when you start to, you can't expect, this little young 12-year-old, 13-year-old that experiences all of this childhood trauma. You can't accept the same response from him that you would from little Billy, right? But yet they'll criminalize us. So those actions by little Jamal are criminalized. But the same actions by little Billy now are called for treatment. Little Billy needs counseling. There's a chance for little Billy. He has a future. But little Jamal, that's criminalized. So we want to help them understand the difference, man, and give them their cultural training. Also, we want to provide so with this bill, we're going to provide clean food grocery outlets, right? So what does that look like? The only clean food outlet that's supposed to meet is in Rookwood. Fresh foods, fresh time, whatever it's called. So think about it. So when you can't talk about mental health without talking nutrition. Like, they go hand in hand, right? So since they go hand in hand, why is the only clean food grocery stores out in the white community in the suburbs? Like Andy Black said something really important the other day, and I don't know if your call when he said our dollar flipped in the black community one time and flips in the white community 16 times, which means that our dollars aren't going to build better streets, better homes, better infrastructure, better businesses, or better schools in our community. It's building out there, which now is giving them an environment to where whatever trauma they deal with out in those suburbs, their trauma is easily adjusted to and easily healed. Whereas our trauma, man, comes from over 400 years, another 50 years of the Jim Crow era, and then systematic slavery, man, that we've been under, or no pressure we've been under for the last 472 years. So our trauma is not the same, but yet we have to go out and get clean food out in communities, man, where our dollars going to flip out there and give them better lifestyles. So once again, like I said, the clean food, right? I'm saying what else is important about that. See, we don't even understand. I can guarantee you, man, because I didn't. And most of the listeners probably don't even understand how what we put in our bodies, how that creates what comes out in our mental health. It creates what comes out, man, in our everyday living. See, that's the reason why in our neighborhood, man, on every corner we got a damn Burger King and McDonald's. But you go out to the white communities and they have clean food restaurants, damn Panera Bread and stuff like that. That's by design. Like, that's intentional. So one of the things that we want to do is, especially females on the SNAP program that get food stamps, we want to provide educational training right there in Job and Family Service and actually show them, teach them, you know, with Martha Stewart style cooking classes. These foods here, when you take this food stamp card loaded with $9,000, you know, $472, however much some of these females get, you go into the, you know, to these grocery stores, to the Aldi's and other places, and you buy, you know, a 50,000 pack of pizzas, frozen pizzas, donuts, and this stuff. We want to show them this is toxic. So if your kids suffer from ADHD, ADD, or whatever the issues that they're dealing with, this is feeding into that. This is feeding into that toxicity. So we actually want to provide nutritional programs and actually show them these menus here, these vegetables, these spices, and actually put menus together to teach them how to cook healthy, how to start healing from the inside out, start providing, you know, a more of a holistic way of healing. Because like I said, man, until we heal our trauma, we're going to be stuck right where we're at because it was by design. That's the reason why they don't talk about it. You know, like in Ohio, we were the first ones to execute a state of emergency on the opioid issue. Guess what? Opioids affects the white community at a set 97% higher rate than it does the white community. I mean, than the black community. That was intentional. They knew they had to deal with that because it started affecting the upper class, the middle of the upper class white communities. They spent $17 billion in 2016 on that. So they'll talk about that, but yet you can't talk about addiction unless you talk about trauma. Addiction is rooted in trauma. But I'm gonna tell you the reason why they didn't say we're gonna deal with the trauma piece. We're gonna deal. We're not even gonna say addiction. We're gonna say state of emergency on opioids. The reason why they did that, why they didn't say a state of emergency on addiction, is because now, see, that bill will cover poor white, blacks, Hispanics. See, it would have went all the way across the board. But instead, they said opioids, right? Because most of the opioids are prescription drugs, and for the most part, that's the reason why it affects the more middle upper class white community more than anybody. So they knew we're not going to call it this because it's going to cover too much of a base. Because if we start dealing with addiction, we're going to have to deal with their trauma. Well, I'm like, fuck it. You're going to have to deal with trauma now. That's why I did a 48-hour hunger strike on the steps of the State House and in December 2018, in the cold, 48 hours, no food, by myself. I reached out to so many community leaders and I begged them to come out there with me, so many religious leaders, and begged them to come out there with me. And not one would go stand with me. And I went out there by myself and sacrificed my life because I knew how important this issue was. See, this is a radical issue, and radical issue requires a radical response. So what's that radical response, right? So my team, we're putting together a way for people to protest digitally. It's called Instinct for a Purpose, right? And it's going to be, and the subtitle is Power to the Post. So this is the first of its kind. So we're asking people to be a part of this because we need over 300 people. And on the same day, on November the 4th, the day after the election, November the 4th at 3 p.m., we need hundreds of people to, and I'll put the link in the comments. We need hundreds of people to post the picture that's in the on the event page. Post that picture that says, "Make Ohio the first state to declare a state of emergency on childhood trauma, HCR 25." And then put a comment, whatever the comment is, as far as their understanding of childhood trauma and why they're supporting it. And then the hashtag, though, the hashtag has to be hashtag Mike DeWine, hashtag Scott Lifts. So Scott Lifts is the commissioner of the health committee in Columbus, right? So those two hashtags, and then hashtag InSync. So, and what that's going to do is that's going to create such an algorithm, man, to where it's going to get shared. It's going to get spread. I mean, people are going to, it's going to draw a lot of attention to Mike DeWine and to Scott Lifts. So I'm begging people, you know, especially people that like to go out and protest, you know, for the different movements in the streets, whatever. This is a way of protesting, man, right from your couch, right from your car, right from your cell phone. Only thing I'm asking you to do is go to the link that I'm going to put into the comment section and put and hit going, then upload the picture that's in there. And like I said, on that particular day, you'll get reminders up until then. And on November 4th at 3 p.m., we need hundreds of people, man, to stand up because we can get this through. We can get this into the goal this year.
Hey, Ron, Dan, I appreciate the flows, man. I appreciate the flows. So again, let's just make sure we understand. So you asking people, and I like this, saying first of its kind virtual protest. Let your voice be heard, and you can do it from your home. Do it virtually. On November 4th, you asking people to upload the photograph, and you got the event page up right now. I'll share it as well, in my circle. And then you want people to link that, hashtag Mike DeWine, hashtag, what's the other gentleman's name?
Scott
Lips, and join this movement. Because like you said, here you are in the fourth quarter, and you're about to score a touchdown. You're real close to the end zone. And I agree with, again, I don't have the knowledge you have from where I sit. I think you 100% spot on. 100% in a way that I hear nobody else talking about the issues that plague our community. So you already know, man, I wish you success with this, and I'll do my part to share it within our network as well. Is there anything else you want people to know, or ways that people can interact and maybe be a part of this?
Really, that's the most important right now. Is if people, man, even call their local representatives, whether it be Cedric Denson, Cecil Thomas, man, like call the mayor's office. Like I just need people, even if they just simple as a Facebook post saying I support HCR 25, a state of emergency on childhood trauma, and share that shit, man. I mean, we need people to go hard for us right now. We need to drive this through.
I feel you, man. I know this is not really, what you called in to do, but you mentioned just a little bit. You said that you haven't been getting the support from the community. That's strange to me, man. That seems crazy to me considering what you're trying to do. Do you feel like talking about that?
Yeah, I can. So what a lot of your listeners may don't know is I'm Cincinnati's most hated. I used to be Cincinnati's most loved. So before June 19, 2015, I got a key to the city. I got pictures with me and Tamaya Denver, Dr. Nard, all the council members. I mean, I got the letter from the mayor, Mallory. I got letters from Cecil Thomas. I've done projects with Carl Linder. I got a letter from the governor. Like all these people praised me at one point, right? I was the one that created Vision Caretakers Inc. So for those who don't know what that is, it's a VCI is an entrepreneur college that I created, that I wrote the curriculum for, and I funded it, and I launched inside of Ohio prisons. I created over 300, right now, there are over 300 businesses in the state of Ohio from inmates that went through my program that successfully graduated and now running successful businesses. And these were guys, man, that were going to go back to the street. They didn't have anything going on for themselves. They didn't know what they were going to do. And I decided, you know what, let me take my own experience and let me create an entrepreneur program and show them how to take their skill sets and become entrepreneurs. Right. So, like I said, I got all the accolades from the Cincinnati police. I mean, everybody. I produced a film that was used by the Cincinnati police, the Hamilton County Juvenile Probation Department, CPS, Nashville public schools. Like, I mean, it went like nationally, right? I mean, it was so big that I ended up writing the curriculum to go with it. They got bought for $27,000 by CPS and Princeton. So I did all of these things, right? But then came June 19, 2015. While I was growing as a successful entrepreneur, I was also fighting for custody of my son, Trey Pierre Hummons. My son, Trey Pierre Hummons, lived such an abusive, I'm talking about one of the most toxic, violent experiences that a child can go through his entire childhood. His mom had over 22 child protective service cases on her, alcoholic, drug addict, everything you can think of, right? And I'm a successful entrepreneur. I was married at the time. My ex-wife, man, she's a very successful RN. Beautiful home, everything. And the courts didn't give me custody of my son, but they chose to leave him in a home where mom had over 22 child protective service cases on her. So this is what I'm talking about, childhood trauma, right? Because, like I said, our trauma is unique. So you can't expect for a kid to experience his whole entire childhood in this violent, drug-infested, toxic environment, and then grow up and just to be like, fucking normal. It doesn't work. Our trauma, man, creates the blueprint for the rest of our life. So June 19, 2015, my son committed suicide by cop. That unfortunately left the officer dead as well, which is Sonny King. After that happened, I became a target. I went from being Cincinnati's baby to Cincinnati's most hated. The police they've jumped on me twice, and they've come after me. I'm talking about with so many different types of threats. So they're getting against me in retaliation. But while they're trying to retaliate against me, for one, something that could have been prevented if the courts would have did their job and what would have been in the better interest of the child. But I didn't do. But so they've targeted me heavy. I beat them on every turn though. They tried to charge me for stalking the girlfriend of a police officer. This was their plan. The girlfriend of a police officer that had a crush on me. They charged me for stalking her. I took them to court. A young black man with a son named Trey Pierre Hummins would have passed, and the police were testifying against me. And the white judge, a Republican judge, said, and he told the cops there was no basis for these charges. Get out of here. So I beat it on every turn. But while they're continually trying to retaliate against me, my fight has never been against the police. My fight is against policy. Like I people say, fuck the police. I'm like, no, fuck policy. So I'm continuing moving and creating, man, this legislation that's going to create generational healing. I'm like, fuck all. I ain't got time for all that. I'm going to continue doing what I need to do for my community, for my people. Because if we don't do something now, our kids won't have a future. In the 80s, we had the epidemic of crack babies. Now we have the epidemic of trauma babies. So I'm going to continue moving that I am to create this change.
Mm-hmm. Damn, Ron. Well, speaking of kids, man, I do have families that's listening, so to kind of keep that in mind with that flow, man. But so you're saying because of that, there's people even today that's resisting and working with you on this issue about raising awareness about trauma. Is that what you're saying? Exactly. Mm-hmm. I've reached out to every community leader in Cincinnati, religious leaders that go for, the guy over here in that owns the weeds, or Lynch. I'm talking about anybody you can think of. I reached out to them in Cincinnati. When I did that 48-hour hunger strike, and I told them how important this was, I asked them just to go stand with me. Even if you can't do the whole 48 hours, just stand with me. And not one, you hear me? Not one came out and supported me, and to this day still doesn't support. So, so that's what made me actually take it from a city level, because initially I tried to take this to city officials to see if we can do a citywide state of emergency on trauma. But they all turned it down, right? None of them would meet with me. And I said, okay, cool. I went to a state level. I went over their head. And still, even when I went over their head, the first person I went to was Cecil Thomas. Cecil Thomas, man, would not support this. Like, I'm talking about, wouldn't do anything. None of the black legislators, a lot of them from Cincinnati, none of them would support this. So guess what I did? I went to the next level, and I went to Republicans. I went to Don Manning, a conservative. And when he read my proposal, he said, Ron, this is a no-brainer. I'm on board. I support this. And then guess what? That's when different black politicians started coming on board. Now I have over 22 sponsors and co-sponsors, Republican and Democrat. The other Republican, he's from here in Cincinnati, Tom Brinkman. So these guys, man, supported it because they were like, this is no brainer. This makes sense. How can we not support this? Hey, Ron, I'm glad you told that story, man. I think it's really important for people to understand how things really work in this city. Sounds like some people were like you was toxic or something because of something that happened that was tragic with your son. I don't see the connection personally, but I can understand, I guess, how some of these politicians wouldn't want to work with you because the police don't like you or something like that. Is that how you read that? Oh, yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. I mean, that, and then it's a click city anyway. Right. We got this thing where, certain black people that run in certain circles, they call it black elite. I'm like, no, you still a nigga. Like that, black elite doesn't equal white privilege. This is something, man, that we need to get done. And the thing about it is, I'm not asking for their support. I'm not asking for anybody's support. This bill is not about me. I'm asking them for support. The same kids that they legislate, the communities that they run for. I'm asking the parents that listen to this right now, the same parents who have children that suffer from childhood trauma issues and suffer from childhood trauma issues themselves. So it ain't about supporting me. Mm-hmm. And that's the piece that I think people get so confused, right? Because this has nothing to do with me. This has everything to do with our next generation. This legislation is the first of its kind that's going to create generational healing. Like, I'm talking about long after we're dead and gone. So how do you not support that? Again, Ron, before we end, man, just tell people the date. Just run through it again, like the time, what you're asking people to do, and the date, and so people can get it.
Okay, so November 4th, the day after the election, at 3 p.m., we're asking people to post a picture. So the picture is actually on the event page. And I posted it twice. I'll post it again, and it's on my page. If they download that picture on November the 4th, upload that picture on your Facebook page and Instagram too, if you can. But upload it up on your Facebook page, and in the comment section, I say, I support HCR, State of Emergency on Childhood Trauma, HCR 25, and this is your reason why, because maybe your own personal experience, someone whatever experience is, just put a little comment in there about why you support and why we need to do something about childhood trauma, and then hashtag it. That's going to be the important piece about it. Hashtag Mike DeWine and hashtag Scott Lips. So all these hashtags are also on the event page as well.
And I got an image of your event page right now. In Sync for a Purpose, State of Emergency on Childhood Trauma. Again, you asking people to do this is virtually. They can do it from Facebook, do it from their homes, and you ask them to do this on November the 4th. Hey, Ron,
yes,
hey, listen, I appreciate you, man. I hope you're successful in your work. I think it's tremendous. And let's stay connected, brother.
No, absolutely. And I want to thank you too, man, for using your platform, because that's so important, man. And I wish more people understood the importance of platforms and responsibility of it. And you will use your platform, man, to impact and empower our community like at any turn. So thank you so much.
Oh, most def, man. Oh, that's Ron Hubbins, everybody. Again, State of Emergency on Childhood Trauma, In Sync for a Purpose. That's Wednesday, November 4th. And they're asking you to put hashtag Mike DeWine and Michael Lips as well. So it'll start to get into the Facebook algorithm, and then, they can get some traction with it. And again, I've got a limited understanding of it. From what I understand, it makes it, like you said, those Republican legislators said, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer, man. We run around talking about why we see what we see and what's up with the violence. There's a lot of people traumatized on a lot of different levels in our community. And when Black people get trauma, it automatically seems like it gets criminalized. We don't look at it like it's a medical thing. Oh, no, it's a criminal thing. Just like that brother in Philadelphia who's mentally ill. His mother is saying, no, cops shoot him in front of his mama. I don't care what nobody said. They didn't have to kill that brother. Like I said, yes, they could have backed the hell up, just get away from him. He's standing right next to his mama. The only people he's going toward is you. See, police don't understand what police represent. You can have the best intentions in the world, but you should not be ignorant of the history of what that uniform means in certain communities. It's bigger than you, and you stepped into it, so you're going to have to deal with it, man. It is what it is. But I appreciate that call from Ron. That was excellent flows. Got a full picture of what he's doing and why he's doing it. And, like you say, man, me, I'm always with the underdogs. When I see people like on some, like, oh, shine away, that turns my interest level up, right? I'm like, oh, what's going on here? You know what I'm saying? I mean, for what he's working on, it sounds to me like he could have an impact throughout our communities in the city of Cincinnati, Hamilton County, Ohio, if not the country. It's a whole new way of looking at the issues that we deal with, right? It's a whole different lens. So I think he's on the cusp of greatness, quite honestly. And, if you're interested, if you're inclined to do so, well, I think you've got all the information. You can go to their Facebook page right now. It's up right now. You can go to Ron Hummins on Facebook or State of Emergency on Childhood Trauma, and he's got the event page up. The event page is up. And I think, we need more people to hit that interest button to let people know that you're interested. I mean, if you feel so, still read through it yourself. HCR 25, read for yourself, make your own decision. They're looking for about 300 voices, progressive individuals to make their voices be heard via social media. Hey, I love it. And what's it going to cost you? Just a couple of clicks that you're doing anyway. You're doing it anyway. And I'll do my best to remind you the day of the election and afterward as well, that some things are happening that you could be a part of. And again, something as simple as that could have a huge impact. Because, I went to the event because I wanted to see firsthand. Just paying attention, I've gotten a sense of the story. That's not the first time Ron has called in. He called in a few months ago So I've got a sense of the story, but I'm cognizant that people might be listening for the first time, never heard of the brother. You're like, whoa, what is this? Okay, well, now you know. What you going to do about it? You know, I'm urging my listeners to take a really good hard look. Go to the event page. That's easy this morning. You know what I'm saying? We can click on all this other ish and talk about Ice Cube. Here's something, put Ice Cube to the side. Here's something that matters in the city of Cincinnati, in Hamilton County, and in Ohio. It matters in particular to us and our family. You know what I'm saying? So I'm urging you strongly to spend some time today. Just go to the website, or should I say go to the event page, read for yourself. If it's something that you're like, oh, I can rock with this, then rock with it. And if you're like, hey, y'all ain't feeling it, then it is what it is. I mean, you're adult, make your own decision. It is what it is. To me, it sounds like everything. It sounds like everything to me. You know what I'm saying? That's what it sounds like to me, but you have to make your own decision. 513-873-7134. All right. To me, it's a no-brainer. It's no-brainer. I mean, any smart, intelligent person, when you hear that pitch, you're like, oh, light bulb, that makes sense. That makes sense. Let's try something different. Fox writes, I'm with Cube. F, red, and blue, donkeys and elephants too. Well, Fox, I respect your opinion, brother, but that's not. Ice Cube is not saying F, red, or blue. Ice Cube is saying, I want to work with red or blue. He's saying, hey, if red shows up, meaning Republicans, I'll work with them. If blue calls, then I'll work with them. That's what he's saying. But what he did was something different. And I think his ego's in the way. That's what I think, straight up. That's my opinion about it. I think Ice Cube's ego got in the way and is in the way. Because like I said, number one, I don't care who you are, there's room for you to get in the game. But if you get into a certain lane and there's already black people in that lane that's successfully in it, how you just going to bump them off the side of the road and say, you know what, I'm driving things now? I mean, or hey, move over. Now you're going to make it a 2-lane highway. I mean, yeah, you can. But if your interest is in creating equity policy intangibles, should you? You know, that's like, and we just heard from Ron Hummons, right? That's like 2 weeks from now, I don't know, name a star. You know, Ice Cube says he's not a contract to save. He wants to declare an emergency, state of emergency on trauma. After we just heard from Ron Hummons. I would be like, and you would be like, well, wait a minute, that's cool, come to the game, but there's somebody already doing it. It's the same thing with a national black agenda. There's already national black agendas. There's already people out there doing it. It's been far more down the road than he has. There's already people that's polled, black voters and what they think should be a part of an agenda, didn't put it into agenda. We're just going to overlook all of that because Ice Cube is a celebrity. I can't do it. Doesn't mean he shouldn't. I'm just saying, keep it real. That's a great idea. No, we have heard of that before. People are doing it. Maxine writes, there is so much trauma in more ways than one and causes us to turn on one another and ourselves. She is so right. She is so right. That brother made a lot of sense. Janice writes, I am for the underserved, the unseen, and the unheard. I like the way you put it. So am I. Trump has given police the go-ahead to use whatever means necessary against black folks. Tacitly, yes. Ron posted a link to their website, ohiostateofemergency.com. Appreciate the flows this morning. Bringing us some substance this morning. I appreciate it. Janice writes, I believe childhood trauma is a worthwhile cause, even with his negatively perceived issues. I don't understand how anybody would have a problem with Ron Hummons and he's a victim. He's just as much as a victim in this as are the people from the Sonny Kim family. They both lost somebody. It was tragic. That's it. Why would you blame this man because of something that his son did? And if the circumstances as Ron put him, and I have no reason to doubt what the man is saying, I'll take him for his word. If the circumstances he just told us are in fact true, clearly his son was dealing with a lot of heavy issues. How is it his fault? I don't get it. But that's the politics. That's the politics. Like, oh, the police don't like such and such, so we ain't gonna like them. I don't give a damn about that. So what? We need politicians. We need representatives that's strong enough to not fall into those kind of games and strong enough to do what they need to do, no matter what special interests like the police or whoever are telling you. That's I'm telling you, it's so deep. Like what Ron said is so deep. Do y'all remember when John Cranley was crying? Like, I apologize to him. You know what he was crying about? He was crying. It's connected to Ron Hummons. John Cranley tearfully apologized. I don't know who he was apologizing to and what he was apologizing for. The story goes like this. Apparently, somebody in Mayor Cranley's office rubber stamped and allowed for, and I don't know if it was a motion or what the right word is, but essentially I don't know if it was Ron or somebody related to Ron was trying to get the city of Cincinnati to declare a day after his son, I believe, right? And it was all in the name of like raising awareness about mental health and things like this. Okay. What's wrong with that? Makes sense. It got approved by John Cranley's office. And then I guess the FOP or the friends who sympathize with the police, no matter what they do, or maybe it was the family of Sonny Kim, again, no disrespect to the family, right? Because they lost somebody, right? I feel for that. I get that. But so did Ron Hummons, right? It was a tragic event that never should have happened, and two families will never be the same. That's how I look at it. So somebody in Mayor Cranley's office approved this, right? And when it hit the media, literally Mayor John Cranley, this is how strong the special interests for the police are here in the city. Mayor John Cranley wept. He cried in public. I didn't mean for it to happen. I'm thinking to myself, what are you apologizing for? Somebody new in your office, I think that's how the story was told. I guess she didn't know the politics and didn't recognize the names, didn't know she was supposed to deny this order. It just goes to show you how, unless you know about the politics, just how innocuous and just whatever the situation really is. How are they to blame for this? This man was actually crying. Let me see if I can bring this up. I didn't mean for this to happen. No disrespect. I'm like, damn, is that serious? Yeah, here it is. Mayor tearfully apologizes for accidental proclamation. It's all over the news. This goes back to 2017. Mayor John Cranley's emotional apology. He apologized to the police union after a proclamation mistakenly had been issued in honor of a man who killed Officer Sonny Kim nearly 2 years ago. Well, I thought it was in the name, and he even did the press conference what was it, FOP Lodge, I think it's 69 downtown on Central Avenue. I've been there. Whoosh. I don't know, man. It might have been me, but I just got some bad vibes walking through there. I'm just be honest with you. Yeah, I went down there for a media event and asked the FOP president, Dan Hill, some tough questions. I was glad to see when I got down there, he was already being asked tough questions. I have to admit that. Yeah, that was and that was Ron Hummons. The father, Trapier Hummons, posted a proclamation on Facebook declaring June 1st as Trey Day, prompting Cranley to issue an apology letter to the Fraternal Order of Police. And so that's the reason why they don't like Ron Hummons, basically. Or should I say yet another example as to why they don't like Ron Hummons. Man, y'all better get over that. It's bad. Y'all making it worse. There's other ways to honor Sonny Kim rather than trying to stigmatize this black man and his family for the rest of their natural lives when he had nothing to do with it. So it's just so funny how that works. Ron Hummons had nothing to do with what happened with his son. He lost somebody. He lost his son. But the FOP and the mayor of Cincinnati are going to hold him accountable for the rest of his national life. When a police officer kills a member of the black family, we're supposed to just get over it. When the court case ends, just get over it. Don't project that into anybody else, but y'all projecting what Ron Hummons' son did to him. Y'all projecting it on him, but we're, as a family, not supposed to project that onto each and every police officer. The hypocrisy is so real. And you had the mayor playing into it. I'm down there crying at police law or FOP law 69. Yeah, down there weeping. I'm so sorry, y'all. I didn't mean to. What are you apologizing for? There's no apology necessary. I don't get it. I don't get it. This was seen on Facebook. Sharon Coolidge put that in the Cincinnati Inquirer. Look at this. Trey Pierre's life will serve as a remembrance to the fight against child abuse and the protection reform needed for kids affected by trauma. What is wrong with that? What's wrong with that? Nothing. But because a police officer died, the police are going to hold that against Trey Pierre's family for the rest of their life. But when a police officer kills an unarmed black person, we're just supposed to get over it whenever the court case ends, like with Breonna Taylor. Essentially, get over it and don't project that onto anybody else. But when it's on the flip, they'll take that and hold that against the family for the rest of their natural lives. Hypocrisy. That's all it is. Straight up hypocrisy. You know me, I got to keep it real with you. It was dumb as hell. Makes no sense. I remember talking about this. Like, why is the mayor apologizing? Oh, okay. Okay. Ballhead just sent a message saying he wanted to explain the difference in robocalls that the school sends and what the Board of Education sent to your phone. I got back last when I called and people were saying even you said it was either my cell phone wasn't right or the right way my voicemail wasn't set up for the right way. The voicemail you turned out was an actual recorded message from your child, high school, and the principal record. It is so, therefore, if you don't answer the phone, that recorded message will go automatically to your voicemail. I receive some of those messages now. If the Board of Education calls you and you don't press 1 to receive the message, then it will not leave a voicemail. That's the difference between the two. Okay. I didn't want to argue back and forth with people on the feed about my personal business. I get you. I'm not even sure if you wanted me to put that out there, but I get you. I definitely understand. He's saying it wasn't the same. I was Ballhead. He sent me a message on Facebook. He was saying, just to further explain the situation, that it's not about his phone being set up. He's saying that it's coming from a different place and he didn't receive the phone calls in terms of a voicemail. And that's what he was saying earlier. So I get it. Hold on. Let me respond here. Interested. Absolutely. And then, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to invite all the people on my Facebook page. I'm selecting everybody right now. Yeah. Okay. So I just invited everybody on my Facebook page to go to the state of emergency on childhood trauma. So, I mean, if you follow me on Facebook, you can't say you're going to get an invite because I just sent you an invite. And so you can do the same thing and kind of multiply their message. I think they're 100% on point. I don't give a damn if people don't like it, or I don't care if the FOP don't like it. I don't care if people don't like me. So what? Big deal. Makes no difference to me. It is what it is. John Cranley, going back to 2017, here's what he said, quote, "This was a huge mistake in terms of that proclamation. It's a proclamation in name of Ron Hummel's son, but it was really about, trying to push forward and start the conversation about childhood abuse and trauma, which this was back in 2017, and he just got off the phone 3 years later. He's still on that path. So clearly this ain't just some fly-by-night type of thing. This is something that the man has dedicated his life to. But let me go back here. I'm looking at Cincinnati Inquirer. 2017, John Cranley, mayor, still current mayor. This was a huge mistake. It's not done intentionally. It's human error, but the buck stops with me. I love the police department," he wrote, breaking down in tears. "I would never do anything to hurt them. I'm sorry." How does that hurt the police department? Like I told you, things are out of whack here and out of balance. That's not hurting the police department. That's nothing but politics. Somebody from the FOP was going to make a big noise about it. He probably got a few phone calls from some people, maybe police officers that felt some kind of way. Okay. And you might feel some kind of way about it. And so the mayor of Cincinnati wept. He ain't crying for nobody else in this city. He ain't crying for them black babies just struggling to get to their first birthday. I keep talking about. He ain't crying for them. But he gonna weep because somebody in his office okayed a proclamation that had Trey Pierre's name on it. And y'all voted for this fool. Y'all think this is good leadership from a mayor. Okay. That's why nobody can be surprised when he was running from protesters. Remember when the protesters wanted to come to him and approach him about the curfew, which I didn't have a problem with the curfew. This man was all caught up in his air because I'm eating. Don't you see me fine dining? He had people in his party that got indignant with these citizens, and he walked away from them. But then you want to understand why Cincinnati doesn't deliver equity policy and tangibles for its non-white citizens. Look at your leadership. Y'all voted for this fool. Look at your leadership. Here's a man who lied to us and said he was going to lift thousands of kids out of poverty and ain't did a damn thing and don't even talk about it anymore. He don't even talk about it anymore because it was never that important to him. I mean, just look at the amazing hypocrisy. Like I said, you know, they're going to hold that against Ron Hummons until he dies. And then even after he dies, they're going to hold that against him. But let a police officer tase your baby. They're going to tell us, well, nothing to see here. We took care of it. It's all good. Nothing here. And you know what? Don't project your animus and your hurt feelings onto anybody else that wears the uniform. Just leave it right here. What? Tell you the hypocrisy is too much, man. I'm into my bag on this because I remember being pissed off about this 3 years ago. So now I'm re-pissed all over again. Re-pissed all over again. But I get it. You know, it's the politics you got to play and, you know, you got to mollify people and kiss a lot of ass and all this kind of stuff. I get it. I get it. Ron writes, I met with Cranley personally and he knew about the work I was doing. I told him I was applying and he said to go online and fill out the application for it and it got approved. I mean, Cranley is, look at that. I believe Ronald Hummons. So if we believe Ron Hummons, which I believe, I don't believe there's any reason why this black man would come in here and lie. What does he get out of it? Nothing. I believe him. That's politics 101. You tell him one thing because you don't want to be, because what's the opposite? Is that he tells Ron Hummons like, look, Ron, I ain't going to do that, man, because there's too much politics around what happened with your son. Then Ron goes out to the media and makes Cranley look bad. Can't have that. Don't know. But when the FOP calls up and they're upset, I mean, is this true? We're all gonna catch the blue flu. Then all of a sudden, you know, you flip it completely. I believe it. I believe him. Maxine writes, yes, and yes. However, the psychological body has to be healed by withdrawal of the genetic trauma. And listen, folks, I could go on for days and days, but I cannot. It's a little bit after 10 a.m. and I got to make a move. I really do. I really appreciate you being here this morning. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Please like and share today's show. When you share the show, quite frankly, more people see it. It means everything. Come up today at 1 p.m., Midday Juice with Ask Ashley. You ask the questions. She answers. Real simple. Midday Juice, Sin Digital Media. Also, tomorrow at 12:30, make sure you tune in for the Is It Just Me podcast with Donnie B. She breathes fire and all the topics. Plus, she starts every show catching you up with what she's watching. It's always an interesting segment. Maybe you guys are watching the same things. And I've actually gotten some good ideas from her. So again, that's 12:30 tomorrow on Sin Digital Media on Facebook. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the video on Facebook, and that way you'll get a notification whenever we go live. All right, have an excellent rest of your Thursday, and I'm out.
State Senator Cecil Thomas asking you to vote for Charmaine McGuffey for Sheriff of Hamilton County. As a former police officer, I know Charmaine is the only qualified candidate to be sheriff. She stands with our community and will lead with accountability. Her opponent used excessive force in the killing of an unarmed black man and led the highly controversial Vortex unit. He is the last person we need to lead our sheriff's office. Trust the judgment of someone who knows. Vote Charmaine McGuffey for sheriff, a vote for justice.
This is Charmaine McGuffey asking for your vote. Paid for by People for McGuffey for Sheriff.
Jill Schiller has been missing in action, and now we know why. Did you know that Jill Schiller, candidate for Hamilton County Treasurer, got away with a dangerous offense? Her friends and connections at Cincinnati City Hall turned their heads when she was racing through a Cincinnati public school zone doing 52 in a 20-mile-an-hour zone. She could have killed a child. As a mother of 3, that's concerning. 25,000 children are injured each year because of speeding in a school zone. 100 children are killed in school zones each year by people like Schiller. Schiller should have served 5 days in jail as the law states, but being privileged kept her out while you, the public, would have gone to jail. Her friends and connections at City Hall only fined her $60, and they quickly destroyed the evidence the next day. We cannot trust Schiller with our school children. Should we trust her to protect and safeguard our tax dollars? Vote for Charlie Winburn for Hamilton County Treasurer. We can trust him to safeguard our tax dollars and our children.
Paid for by friends of Charlie Winburn.
Nathan Ivey Show is supported by listeners. Go to www.patreon.com/Nathan Ivey Show and help Nathan keep the show independent.